uncertainty, right? But hey, Christmas is coming, Omicron or not.
Yes, it is. So just hope and pray for the best.
Amen. Viva Santa Maria Kamalin.
Yes, yes.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good morning.
Okay, that's stuff. It's 7:12. Guys, Senator Telo Taitague joining us in the KUAM News Zoom room. Senator, I kind of wanted to start, not necessarily in your wheelhouse, but I did see this message that was going around on WhatsApp last night. And it was pretty interesting message relative to hiring that's apparently going on over at the Guam Environmental Protection Agency. This WhatsApp message that I had received from a number of people, it was actually forwarded many times. You know when you get a WhatsApp message and it's like a lot of people send it around, it'll say at the top, forwarded many times. And so I actually got it last night, and it basically, this is what it reads. Guam EPA has an opportunity to hire a number of competitive limited-term appointments positions within the agency. These positions are unclassified, with a single term lasting up to 18 months to include full benefits. The positions are for entry level, but could be higher depending on applicants' experience. We will be hiring for all sections and programs within Guam EPA. Please see our webpage for a more complete agency description. Positions will range from our Administrative Services Division to Information Technology section to our more technical divisions like the Airland Division and our Water Division. Please have any interested applicants email me at jesse.cruz@epa.guam.gov a cover letter indicating the positions that they're interested in, a copy of their current resume, and a completed GovGuam employment application. There's a quick turnaround on this, as I need resumes by close of business Monday. That's just a few days away. Again, this is a competitive hiring process, and by submitting a resume, nothing is implied or guaranteed. Please forward and distribute. Thanks. And so I had sent this over to Guam EPA because I feel like that's a funny way to conduct business, is via WhatsApp. You know what I mean? Especially when we have thousands of people who are without a job. I'm pretty sure there are many who may not be connected with the cabinet or, be in or may not even be on any of these WhatsApp groups that this message was forwarded to. You know what I mean? I feel like if we are going to hire, and I'm pretty sure everybody would agree that Guam EPA needs more staff. I mean, the environment's crazy out there, illegal dumping, right? But I'm just concerned that this is the method that they put it out. You know what I mean? It kind of seems like it's something for insiders, like, hey, heads up, guys, we got to fill these positions and send me your resume.
Yeah.
So what was I did get a statement from Guam EPA, and I want to get your reaction just first on this type of message. I mean, Lord knows we're in campaign season, and to me, it just looks a little funny when it's circulating around on WhatsApp, but you don't see anything official coming out from the government agency in question.
Well, this is definitely, and good morning to yourself and Jason, as of course the KUAM family and listening on. Oh, Merry Christmas to everyone before I forget.
Yeah.
It sure sounds to me like it's very selective with this. And number two, it sounds like, okay, either the governor is going to put some money into EPA with the ARP funding. And so I did a little bit of see and see what I can find. And I found one area, it's not confirmed yet, but about 1.6 million is going to be sent to EPA for environmental/enforcement. So just knowing that there could be possibly ARP funding going toward EPA, it's understandable they're trying to hire. But 18 months, so it's obviously unclassified, because any kind of funding with any kind of salaries that are going on, it's got to be sustainable. What happens when there's no more ARP funding or no more funding coming from the federal government? We can't sustain these positions. So by giving a timeline on it, then I can only assume it's either coming from ARP funding or some kind of federal grant. Is this actually only on WhatsApp?
Okay, now here's where it gets interesting, Senator. I did get an official statement from the Guam Environmental Protection Agency via the Public Information Officer, Nick Lee. He messaged me, Hafaday and good evening, Chris. Thank you for the inquiry and for the opportunity to provide clarification on the message about employment opportunities with Guam EPA, which circulated on social media yesterday. So there's a confirmation that this was circulating on social media and not through any official channels like a government website or whatever. We do apologize to the public for any confusion and inconvenience that this message may have caused. The message is not an official announcement. This call out for interest in working with our agency was released in haste and ahead of our plan for an official call out. As regulators, we assure the public that the employee onboarding process will be in line with DOA's personnel rules and regs. When we are ready to make an official call out, more detailed information will be provided on our website so that this process is clear. This is a necessary step so that interested applicants can make informed decisions on how to join our agency. We will provide more info as soon as we can. We look forward to the public's interest with the agency. Well, well, well. How interesting is that, Senator?
Sounds like somebody jumped the gun, or they were still finding a way to get the message out there in their own selective way, which is very disingenuous, I think. Somebody should be reprimanded for sending something like that out. Who is this Jesse? By the way, who is this Jesse Cruz? Don't they already have a PIO that's at EPA?
Yeah.
So this is ironic, this Jesse Cruz person.
Yeah, we don't really have many details to work on, but just on its face. And again, I'm not saying that they don't need people over at Guam EPA. But when you're sending something around on WhatsApp and you're like, hey, heads up, we got to hire by Monday, and by the way, send your resume over to this email over here, and like no one in the public knows, and you don't know where it's being sent to. I mean, for all we know, this is going to all the campaign chats. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah, and for it to put a date, though, a drop dead date of December 6th, if this was inadvertently, sent out, mistakenly sent out, then why is there a drop dead date? And if this reaction that you got from EPA is it was not supposed to be sent out, then they only have how many more days? And if you go through the open government law, which requires at least a 5-day notice, now this is, it said unclassified. So, the route on unclassified is basically she can pick and choose who she wants. That's how it's always been. It's very political when it's unclassified. Very, very political. That at least give I hope this kind of practice stops. Really, it needs to stop. It needs to be accountable, regardless if it's ARP funding where she has her own discretion on how to use the funding. We've been calling out for transparency, from day one on this ARP funding. I mean, the investment para Hamzu was sent out with money that was already spent about a year ago, or money that was spent in January. So this is not very transparent, almost disingenuous.
So, Senator, I mean, what do you think, though, if Guam EPA themselves is saying that someone jumped the gun and they issued this statement in haste ahead of the official announcement, but this statement that was released ahead of the official announcement, like you said, has a, hey, we got to hire people by Monday, then when are they going to come out with the official announcement? Tomorrow? And then what, people are going to have to scramble through the weekend to slap together all their documents to, you know what I mean? And I want to say that I feel like this is happening in other agencies because we've got all this ARP funding. I mean, it's something we're going to have to check on, the hiring, but I just feel like if we've got thousands of people who are still out of work, then they deserve a fair shot at any jobs that are available because of this federal ARP money.
Yeah, and especially those with credentials, especially those who studied in the fields like this should have the opportunity. And first, it should be done on credentials and education background, especially at the EPA. It's not something you just dump somebody in there unless it's, monitoring trash, dumping of trash or, something as simple as that. But I think they need some real educational, institutional knowledge regarding the environment and the protections of our environment at EPA. The EPA is funded strictly, I think, by federal funding. None of it is, and of course, special funds, as well as in fees and fines. But they follow a strict guideline when it comes to federal money and how they spend it. It's very accountable. But if you're getting an infusion of ARP money into EPA, that money hasn't been accountable for for any of us, really. Until we have this para Hamzu, this investment para Hamzu going
investment
on.
para Guahu?
IPH. There's been none, you know. I mean, and then they're braiding ARP funding with grant funding coming from the federal government,
Holistic.
as well as local funding. And I'm like, local funding? Where did you go there? We know about where local funding has been placed at in these agencies, but.
We did get a couple comments here. There's one that says, it is happening in other agencies. No one is saying anything because they don't want to get fired. Or maybe they're not saying anything because they want to get hired.
Then I suggest to please, you know, I'm very discreet. If someone emails me and brings in something to my attention, I look into it all the time. You don't have to leave your name or worry about it. All you have to please keep this, you know, when you're sending an email, just say, I would not like my name to be used in any way or manner. I mean, that's as simple as that. But if you know if something's going on, then please let us know. I know even people are afraid of whistleblowing because someone seems to find out. But yeah, please, if you're seeing something going on, and I've always said this on your show, please don't turn a blind eye. But if you're worried about your job, which I don't blame you, you know, you're concerned about it, then send me an email and I will look into it myself and I'll do the research.
There was this Tell It to Telo, I think was what it was.
And expect results.
There's a comment here from Tony. He comments, there's currently no job openings on the official Guam EPA website. Go screen record that, Jason, just in case anything pops up before the end of the show. Well, Senator,
I'll be calling Walter. I'm waiting till decent hour. I'll give him a call.
Well, I heard it was buzzing last night, so we'll see.
I bet.
And I do have an interview with Guam EPA a little bit later on in the morning.
Oh, okay, then great.
Hey, so this ARP, the plan, I was on leave when it came out, but I don't know if we had talked about it with you. But what did you make of that? Because and we're talking about this investment para Hamzu. Yes, and it was basically like when I looked at it, it said, GPA got 12 million, or this agency 8 million. I didn't really see a breakdown as to like what that money was going to be used for, which people I think are being very critical about it. Nestor had a really good Zoom with the Minority Leader Senator Chris Duenas last. Yeah, it was on. I don't know when he did it, but I listened to it when I got home from work yesterday, and the Senator Duenas was right. There was like little to no detail. I mean, we all sucked it up and waited for the plan to come down from up on high for, I mean, God, it was almost a year. And when it did, it wasn't even really a plan.
Yeah, and it did look like an island address than anything else. Yeah. I mean, talk about something that happened, 6 months ago, 7 months ago, or even in 2020. 2020. It just, it's not clear because again, it's smoke and mirrors, on how they're spending this funding. Every time they say they're spending some of this funding on a project, they muddy the water by incorporating, and we're using federal grants and local funding. So they're, putting these funds together, they're braiding these funding, so you can't find out really how much is being spent out of ARP money versus the federal grant money. So I've been doing for the last week and a half, actually longer, doing my own forensic on funding, especially when it comes to federal grants, and trying to find out really where this money is coming from and going to. That's easily done because you can look at that online. The one thing that I'm now looking into is the Office of the Investigating General, the OIG, where any kind of funding that's spent by these states and territories, they have to be accountable and reported to the Office of an Attorney General on accountability. So we're looking into that too, because if she's not going to give us information, then we're going to try and look for that information on a federal side and get that information there. I was just looking, by the way, at FOIAs the other day at the Attorney General's office on Guam, and it looked like they stopped, putting out that information on how much FOIAs are coming out, and just going through that and seeing these FOIAs on the questions that should be obviously given to the people of Guam so that the money is accountable. It's ridiculous. So it forces us to go to another area, which is the federal side, to find out where this money is being spent, because they have to account for it on the federal side. But for some reason, she doesn't seem to have to account on the local side where this money is being spent.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw that the governor was off island and she attended the meeting of the National Governors Association. There was a story from Nestor Lecanto that we played during the newscast. I'm going to try and can we get that clip? I just sent it to you.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think she's going over to find out how they can spend the infrastructure funding that's been recently passed by the president, the $1.2 trillion that's going to be distributed. I think it's 197, is it?
Yeah. That
Guam is going to get, and how they're able to spend this funding. But I think it's kind of clear on the areas in which they can spend this money. That's why I don't understand why in her IPH, the investment plan.
Is that what you're doing, the IPH?
14 million, that she's giving 14 million to the Port Authority of Guam out of ARP funding. It doesn't make any sense, because the infrastructure bill clearly talks about ports and talks about transportation.
Yeah.
So why is she moving 14 million to the Port Authority of Guam?
And we're seeing that with you look at some of the money that was given to agencies over other agencies. To me, it's clear that if you're tight, then you're going to get ARP, and if you're not, like the mayors, they can't even get the COVID differential pay. It's pretty obvious that there's a lot of favoritism going on with this ARP money. But the
money can definitely be used to a lot of different areas, like you said, Chris, a lot of different areas. But that money, the ARP funding money, was to help the people of Guam to recover. Those who've lost their jobs, businesses who've lost their business. That's what this funding is supposed to be used. If you're going to start using ARP money for infrastructure, that wasn't what it was made for. We've got now an infrastructure bill out. Of course, there's not enough money, but if our people are hurting out there, they need assistance, they need help until we can stand up on our feet.
What about your bill? What's the status on your bill that would require the reporting of hiring and raises and all that stuff?
Well, I guess I'm not in the in-group that I can't get my bill to have a public hearing. It's been introduced. I mean, it's definitely needed. So I'm just waiting for a public hearing. That's sometimes when you're not on that side.
Well, can you explain the process, Senator? Because what is the process? Like, who does it go through? Does it go through the Rules Committee and the Vice Speaker?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So it goes through. What happens is a bill is introduced. It's sent to the clerk for introduction. It's given a number. And then the bill is then given to the Committee on Rules chair, which right now has been acting Senator Amanda Shelton. So she receives the bill, then it's reviewed on where this bill should go for a committee.
Right, and then so if it's a Republican bill, unless it's Senator Mary Torres, they immediately throw it in the wastebasket. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or they put it in the this can wait shelf, even if it's very, very important.
What's that? Is that from Telo? Oh, yeah, I get. Huh.
You get people who try very hard, senators who hold committees who try very hard to hear the bills right away. I know Senator Paris tries to hear the bills right away. I know Speaker Terlahi tries to hear the bills right away. But if you get a bill that's very controversial, and after, what's really good is once a bill that goes to a committee. Oh, let me go back. And I always tend to jump ahead. I apologize. But once a bill is reviewed by Committee on Rules, and it then goes to that particular senator who holds that committee in that subject matter. Where it gets really, fishy and, very unethical is when you get a certain bill that it's obviously supposed to go to, like, public health, which is the oversight chair, but it's going to somebody else because that person's buddy with that. That is so frustrating.
So who is to blame for it? Because I understand how frustrating it is, but like, which senator do we blame for it? Is it Senator Shelton because she's acting?
It's Shelton. She's the one that has the authority to put that bill there. I think we've twice, the Committee on Rules, when they have met, there has been a concern brought up and asking for a positioning of the re-referral of a bill because it's obviously should not be in that committee. It should be in another committee. So it's very, very frustrating. So now they're getting a little bit creative. For instance, there's a bill that's obvious to go to public health. Obvious.
Which bill?
There's there's an adoption bill. That's going to be on the public, it's on the session agenda. So my bill is an adoption bill, and it's obvious that public health oversees this, and it's creating rules and regulations. So it's obviously supposed to go to the Committee on Health.
Which is Speaker Theresa Lahi.
Which it did. But of course, it took forever to get there. For some reason, it was delayed until finally it got to the Committee of Health. Then you get another bill that came up about the adoption rules and regulations. But instead of giving it to the Committee on Health, they give it to the oversight of finance.
Governmental affairs.
Because that person put $1,000 just by putting, I'm appropriating for my office $1,000 to cover for the ads that have to be put out for the public hearing. For the ads, that it's not even, it's what, less than 1/4 of what the body of the bill is all about. It's about rules and regulations. So what they did, because of that, they put it over to the other side, to finance. So there was a discussion in the Committee on Rules to refer this bill to its proper, committee. But, you get things like that, or, people are conniving and scheming.
Or you get that, you got the leap with Senator Shelton, and then you got the other one with Senator Blas, and Senator Shelton's moves. So I get what you're saying, and guys, just it's a procedural thing where you have what you have is senators like Senator Telo will introduce a bill, and then their bill collects dust, but then you'll have someone like, let's say, like Senator Shelton will introduce a similar bill, but then they'll put that little thing in there appropriating $1,000 or whatever, and that turns it into an appropriations measure, and then it goes over to Senator Joe St. Augustine, who's buddy-buddy with the administration, and then they gun Senator Shelton's bill way ahead of the line. That's basically what's happening. Mm-hmm. And then the senators who are able to get their bills at the front of the line, they reap all the benefits, and they basically take the credit for, I got it, yeah.
Yeah, and then sometimes it just, it's disheartening. You're doing your best to try and get these bills that are so needed, especially the adoption bill that's coming up. Thank goodness it's on the session agenda. But the other adoption bill is on the session agenda, like I mentioned. And before I was happy now we have 2 bills. We're finally going to get rules and regs. But it was too late. This bill should have been, heard way before another bill that authorized a private company, adoption company, to go out and receive, our children, without any guidelines or rules or regulations. So now we're trying to put that through to give interim. The only difference between my bill and the other adoption bill is that my bill allows Department of Department of Public Health to create interim rules and regs within 6 months, and they can follow these guidelines until rules and regs are created by the AAA process. So it allows them to do that straight away. In fact, they can do that right now without legislation. but I guess they're not moving in that direction, so we're going to allow them the authority. But the other bill allows them to create rules and regulations in the interim, but you still have to go back to the legislature to get them approved. And it's what's the whole purpose of it? This bill is to allow them right away, because you already have an adoption agency on this island who's already advertising in the newspaper about adoptions that have no guidelines or rules or regulations on opening an adoption agency. So there's so much frustration, but you just got to meditate, humana. Through this. Please remember, it's for the good of the people of Guam.
Yeah, I just got to say, Senator, I don't know, but I feel like with this adoption agency thing, there's just so much that happens so fast under the cover of this pandemic, and right. I mean, we're coming up with rules and regs after the fact that just nuts to me.
Yeah, and what's scary is seeing it in the newspaper, this company already advertising out there. It's really scary. We saw what happened in the Marshall Islands.
I mean, these guys will party about over anything.
Human trafficking because of that. Human trafficking of their own people, and that's a small island. To not see that coming, we have to worry here. You get individuals who are not in a good frame of mind or enhanced by some kind of addiction and want to fund their addiction, that we saw people actually selling their babies, and that's what happened in the Marshall Islands and other places, in the States, of human trafficking, and we don't want to see that happen here on this island. It's our responsibility to care for our children, those children who are, so vulnerable, and those who need a fighting chance.
Right on, Senator. Thank you for your time this morning. Good talk.
Yep, always. Merry Christmas, everybody. I know we're going to find some goodwill and hope in some of those people who are not, who are not being fair.
Maybe you need to send the acting rules chair a fruitcake or something.
Yeah, or just, sing them a song about goodwill toward men.
Goodwill toward your colleagues.
Of helping people on the island. But, and again, I reach out to the community out there. Don't turn a blind eye. If you have an issue or you're seeing something going on and you're afraid to say anything, just, we will keep it confidential. Just email my office. You can even call my office if you feel uncomfortable about doing that. And secondly, a lot of these bills need the people of Guam's help. A lot of them do, because some of these senators don't react unless the public is well notified, and the public reaches out to senators to saying, hey, why aren't you hearing this bill? It's in your committee. Have a public hearing. We need to have this bill heard right away so that the people of Guam can put their input in it. And it can pass. We can help our people of Guam. So please, everyone, stay tuned to what's happening. We go into session on Monday. Watch what's going on. And thank you.
And get your documents together to put in your application over at Guam EPA.
I'm anxious to hear what happened. What time are you having them on?
Well, we're going to do a Zoom later, and then they're not allowed to come on live. So. Okay, thank you, Senator. Sure. We'll see you. 7:40, quick break, and we're back with more of The Link next. Good morning.
Are you tired? It's time to save on shipping. Support our local entrepreneurs. Find the best deals,